As much as the Galaxy Z Fold 6 gets right for me, and it gets more right than it gets wrong, this is a really great device despite what a lot of people will probably tell you. There are a handful of things that I have been quite vocal about in terms of things that I wish they would improve, things that they should focus on. And today's news really just continues to drive home for me that Samsung is focusing on things that I'm not entirely sure if they are the right things. We have a report here from 9 to 5 Google, and they are basically just sort of rerouting news from etnews.com, and this is a South Korean outlet. I want to make it very clear as well that ET News did get some things wrong in the run-up to the Z Fold 6 and the Z Fold Special Edition. There are some things that did not quite pan out. That being said, a lot of people got things wrong in that run-up, so we're going to keep that in mind as we go forward. But what we're talking about here is Samsung, headline, will basically turn the S Pen into an Apple Pencil to keep the Galaxy Z Fold 7 thin. So what does it mean to turn an S Pen into an Apple Pencil? Well, I will tell you. Currently, the S Pen looks like this. It is very, very small, and it functions on this device with a digitizer. There is a layer inside this device's screen that interfaces with this pen. That is why this pen does not need to be powered. There is no battery inside this device that needs to be charged. Now, of course, there is an S Pen Pro model that you can use with these devices that does need to be charged, and it pairs to the device, and it does other nifty things. But the one that just comes with cases like this, no battery, no charge. And an Apple Pencil does need to be charged because they are using a different technology. As they mention here, Samsung is planning to switch its current use of an electromagnetic resonance digitizer under the display to an active electrostatic technology. So basically, with this AES technology, there's a battery in the pen, and it's basically creating like a field, and it's detecting where the pen is touching based on this electrostatic field. Let's see if Gemini thinks I'm right or not. So the touchscreen contains a grid of sensors that can detect changes in electrical capacitance. The pen has an emitter that generates a weak electrical field. Okay, so you got a weak electrical field coming out of the pen, something in the device that's going to be looking for that capacitance. And so, yeah, I think I was pretty much on the money there. So that is how the Apple Pencil works. And according to ET News, that is how the Z Fold 7's S Pen is going to work. Now, why would they do this? It's because if they go this route, they can get rid of that digitizer inside of the device. It's a layer in the screen, and by virtue of that, they can make the device a little bit thinner. You may remember that the Z Fold Special Edition is slightly thinner than the Z Fold 6. That is part of the way that they got there. So it's a trade-off for thinness. Here's the thing though, when you're talking about a trade-off, typically you get something good, but typically you lose something as well. So what are we likely to lose with a trade-off like this? Well, the first obvious thing is you're going to have to charge your pen. So they're going to have to figure out, how does it charge? Where does it charge? Is there a little plug on the end of it and it plugs into a USB-C port? If that's the way we're going to go, then the pen is going to get significantly larger than this. So then, how does it come with you? How does the case that it potentially is going to be hidden inside, how much bigger does that have to be? Basically, you're carrying around a much larger pen. Maybe we end up with something like this. This is the Z Fold 5/Fold 6 S Pen Fold Edition, and as you can see, it does need to be charged, and it goes inside this little dock. Every so often, you're going to have to slide the pen down in there to charge it. Is that the situation? Or are you just going to have to kind of tote this thing around with you as well? Maybe the battery life is good enough that you can leave this at home and only charge it periodically, but heaven help you if you end up losing this thing. That's going to leave you up the creek without a paddle, as they say. iPads are iPads. They don't go in your pocket. This thing needs to go in your pocket alongside your phone. So additional size may be good for ergonomics, but it's bad for carryability. Is that a word? I may have just invented it. Of course, there are other ways to potentially charge this thing. Maybe they go magnetic and it sticks to the side of the device like an iPad and it charges there. But again, it's going into your pocket and coming out of your pocket. It's just going to get pulled off of there unless the magnet is exceptionally strong. This almost reminds me a bit of the Surface Pen with Surface Duo 2 and the little case that would go to the front of it. People complained about that, right? They put it in their pocket and their jeans, basically their pants, would go in between the phone and the pen, and it would cause the thing to come off. The magnet has to be very, very strong. So there's a lot of potential problems here with how does it charge, where does it charge, how do you keep the pen with your phone, how much bigger does this make that total package? And at that point, aren't you just making a device that's even thicker than before if you are a pen user? And you're doing all of this for what? Like a millimeter? Something very, very minor, a very small amount of improvement when it comes to the thickness of the device, which, if we're being honest, and people, you ask them what they don't like about the Z Fold 6, who says thickness? Don't people say price and camera and maybe the width of the cover display? Whose complaint is the thickness in order to make this trade-off make sense? It just doesn't click for me. Now, I guess the good news is, other rumors, if people like Ross Young from Display Supply Chain Consultants is to be believed, the Fold 7 should have the same displays as the Fold 6 SE. So the Fold 6 SE will basically become the Fold 7. It's going to have that bigger, larger cover display, wider aspect ratio, and overall larger inner screen. Those are all good things when you compare it to devices like the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, getting closer to that. There have also been rumors that maybe it could be picking up that same camera setup. So from a 50 megapixel sensor to the Ultrafone's 200 megapixel sensor. So there are good things potentially rumored to be happening with this device. I just personally don't understand this trade-off for thinness with the S Pen. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe you guys are going to comment down below and say, no, the trade-offs are fine. What you're talking about is no big deal. They're going to figure out where to put the pen, how to charge the pen. All that stuff's going to be just fine. The thinness is what's really going to matter. Personally, I think what they had was just fine, and they should be using this attention, this money in research and development on something else. I just do not see this benefit being worth these changes. But again, that's just my opinion. You're free to disagree, and I encourage you to tell me why I'm wrong in the comments down below. So guys, I'll be putting a link to the 9 to 5 Google article in the description down below so that you can go read through that yourself. I've pretty much covered everything here, but if you want to go give them a click, please do feel welcome to do that as well. Subscribe for more content just like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.